Everybody joining me first up this week on the show is Bill Bender, Sporting News National College Football writer. Always look forward to talking to Bill all things college football. And Bill, appreciate the time and welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on. How you doing?
Doing good, doing good. I am so excited about this weekend, Bill. It's week 0. I know not a lot of sexy matchups, but it's like I told somebody, they asked me, he's not a big time sports fan. So why are you so excited about this? I said, it's like the appetizer. We get the appetizer this weekend. The big meal is the following weekend. But where are you at? Excitement level, looking forward to getting this thing kicked off with week 0 this weekend.
I mean, it's every year. It's a lot of excitement. I always remind people it's a marathon, not a sprint. You got to enjoy it all the way through. And, I've got all our preview content locked and loaded. We're ready for week 0.
Yeah, and obviously, I think a lot of people looking at the Navy-Notre Dame matchup there in Dublin, Ireland. How are you on that? I know the NFL does this where they'll go, into Europe and play games, but college football jumping into that. Where are you at that with them attempting that?
No, it's football. It's always fun. It's always fun to have that first game. And like I said, I've watched Northwestern, Nebraska last year, Nebraska, Illinois the year before that. It generates a lot of a reaction. Again, it's football. I think for me, there'll be a lot of curiosity around Sam Hartman, the Notre Dame quarterback. There'll be a lot of curiosity around that Notre Dame running game and what it looks like in Marcus Freeman's second season. So, and whether or not Notre Dame's a college football playoff contender, that's another thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, so that's where I was going to jump into. Year 2 with Marcus Freeman as a head coach. Last year, rocky start, 0-2. They got things turned around. Had a pretty solid year, getting 9 wins in the bowl win over South Carolina. And you're bringing in Sam Hartman. Just when you look at this team on paper, what do you expect them to be? You talked about that running game too as well.
Yeah, they have Audric Estime back. They have Devin Ford, Penn State transfer that never really caught on with the Nittany Lions, had some moments. So, yeah, they've got a very talented roster at Notre Dame. Now, on defensively, they've settled in with Marcus Freeman, Al Golden. And like I said, they think that this might be a playoff caliber team, one that can get after it in the big games against USC and Clemson and Ohio State. That Ohio State game on September 25th or 23rd is going to be a monster game for the program.
Yeah, and just from a fan of college football, it's going to be a little weird seeing Sam Hartman, 1, in that uniform, and 2, not doing the slow mesh. Yeah,
it is. And, but it's the ability to throw the ball down the field. Can they get the ball down the field in that offense? And like you said, record-setting quarterback, ton of experience, seems to be, I saw the story the other day where he gave the entire team Beats headphones. So he's taken on that leadership role. He's probably the best quarterback they've had from a talent perspective in a while. So that's what makes Notre Dame a very interesting team.
So probably since Brady Quinn then, right?
Yeah, Brady was the last one that had a lot of, first-round attention. Jimmy Clausen's another one. I can't remember. I think he got drafted in the 2nd or 3rd round. So, yeah, the attention around this Notre Dame team is pretty high. Should be fun.
And something, too, when I've watched Notre Dame over the years, and it was with Brian Kelly, kind of part of me that wonders why he just, headed to LSU. Wide receiver, that's kind of been, where they're not at the same level as some of the other teams that you mentioned that they're trying to compete with to become a playoff team. Are you concerned any with their wide receivers?
Well, yeah, I think, obviously that's something you got to have. When Brian Kelly was there, he always lamented that they didn't have enough firepower to go beat an Alabama or in a Georgia. And they do have some guys. They don't have what Ohio State has, but nobody in the Midwest has. Nobody in the country has what Ohio State has right now at the receiver room. So, and that's where this game has gone. If you have 3 or 4 receivers that can create mismatches on the perimeter, then that's one way to go about it. And the other way is the way that Georgia and Michigan go about it, where I don't think anybody looks at Georgia's receivers and says, oh, my gosh, we can't guard Ladd McConkey. But it's hard to guard him when you have a really strong pounded running game behind it. And that's exactly what Michigan has as well.
Yeah, it's weird, and it's kind of funny to me. It's like, okay, for the longest we said, okay, Alabama's this certain way with receivers. All the receivers they put in National Football League, and it now seems like all that is now migrated up to Ohio State. It's okay, guys transfer or they graduate or whatever they leave. Okay, now here's another crop of NFL guys.
Right, and Ohio State has that. I mean, our Sporting News preseason All-American team is out, and we have Marvin Harrison and Emeka Egbuka on the first team, 2 Ohio State receivers. I mean, I can't remember the last time we had 2 Ohio State or 2 receivers from the same team on the first team. And I don't know that it's ever happened. I know Alabama had years where obviously they had Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith and Henry Ruggs and Jerry Jeudy on the same roster, but there was always a definitive guy. These guys have 2 that, as much as Marvin Harrison is and how good he is, it would not surprise me in some ways if Emeka Egbuka has better numbers this year. I mean, that's how good both of those guys are.
Yeah, good luck defending. Okay, normally you just deal with one of those top receivers. Okay, we can double him. We can arrange our defense that way. If you can't do that, you play Ohio State because you got 2 of them. Then what they can do also with their ground game too as well. Georgia, you guys put up a SEC preview over there at Sporting News. I checked it out, and I know that part of the title was stopping Georgia. So that's where I'm going to lead to with you, Bill. Is anyone in the SEC capable of stopping Georgia?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You can't take a three-peat for granted. Alabama's got a ton of talent. LSU's got a ton of talent. I don't know, there was obviously a difference between LSU and Georgia, which Brian Kelly addressed at SEC Media Day. Tennessee's going to be good. I think those 4. I think Texas A&M's kind of my sleeper of we'll see. We'll see how it works out. But, I mean, it's not – I've told people, for people that want to write off A&M, I mean, they beat Alabama 2 years ago. They played Alabama to the last play last year, and they beat LSU handily. And they got a new coordinator. So I think they're kind of that X-factor team that could bust up some of these things and these preconceived notions that we have about the SEC this season.
Yeah, just a moment or two. I got an A&M question for you. We'll get to that in just a second. Football, I want to ask you about them. And with Georgia, and Bill, looking at the receivers, I mean, I think, and I get your thoughts on this. This may be their best receiver room they've had with Kirby. Adding Ra Thomas from Mississippi State, adding Dominic Lillard from Missouri, those are 2 solid receivers that were number 1 and number 2 is where they come from. You mentioned Ladd McConkey still there. Arian Smith, as fast as he is, and you've got Brock Bowers at tight end. Just what are your thoughts with Carson Beck now being named a quarterback? The upside, the potential of this offense, which has been good with Stetson Bennett at quarterback. You think it could potentially be even better with this group of receivers?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, yeah, and obviously they had some transfers. I love it. It's an interesting transfer. You got Bowers. I mentioned McConkey now twice. I mean, I wasn't knocking him earlier. I was just saying, he's an excellent possession receiver, and he can get down the field too. So they've got plenty of things to work with, and that's what I was struck with in their spring game. When you look back, I don't know if I've talked to you since, but, they had 8 guys in the spring game catch a pass for 20 yards or more. The explosiveness of talent across the board. Sometimes it's better. Now, Brock Bowers is the man, no question. But they've got guys around him that can make plays. It's not just Brock Bowers. And I think Carson Beck, as long as he does a lot of the same things that Stetson Bennett did, and he has 3 years of experience in the program, he's going to be just fine.
Yeah, I've heard people say, well, Georgia doesn't have a number 1 receiver. Yes, they do. His name's Brock Bowers. That's their number 1 receiver when they're throwing the ball. Yeah,
and that's a big thing. So, obviously, a lot going on in Georgia, but a lot of talent rolling through there, and I think they're going to be fine. Now, three-peating is not easy, and Kirby has addressed that. And, when you have to go – now, their schedule's set up for a fast start, but the second we say that, it's like, okay, we're going to assume that, and then all of a sudden they go to Auburn and have, like, an unexpected tough game against that Hugh Freeze team, where they play South Carolina early. There's a lot of hype around that South Carolina team with Spencer Rattler. So watched their Clemson game on ESPN the other night again. I mean, they've got some guys. So, yeah, it's just – and when you're wearing that target, Phillip, they've entered that territory of we're all going to know where we were when they lose. And I've been saying that for a couple weeks, that, when Georgia loses a game, that's going to trend because We haven't seen them lose a game in a long time.
Yeah, that's true. And you look at it last year, I'm just thinking back on their schedule, the regular season. Missouri was the closest team to beat them in the regular season, and who would have saw that?
Right. And, it's one of those things where it was close, and we haven't seen them lose in the regular season since 2020 to Florida. We haven't seen them lose at home in the regular season since, I believe, and I know this is true, it was 2019 against South Carolina, because it was on my 40th birthday. I'm getting on 44 now. So, they don't lose a lot of regular season games. It does feel a little bit like that Alabama team that they were very good, but they lost the kick six. And we all know, like I said, we all know where we were when the kick six happened.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm in the state it happened. I feel like the state shook a little bit, Bill, when that happened. All the way, I'm about 2 hours from Auburn. It felt like it shook all the way down here. The SEC West, and I'll be honest, I'm kind of sitting on the LSU side of things. I like LSU to win, but where are you at on the West? Alabama, LSU, and I know you mentioned A&M a little bit as a dark horse.
Yeah, I mean, Alabama's going to be good. It's not like they're going to be bad. They've got a ton of talent. They've got to figure out that quarterback position. They've got, a question with Jalen Milroe and Tyler Buckner and Ty Simpson. And I'm sure we'll see a little bit of all of those guys in the opener. But Milroe out the chute, it depends on what Nick Saban wants their offense to be. If it's going to be run heavy and some play action and try to get the ball out quick, Milroe will be that guy, because he offers another weapon with the way he can run the football and beat a defense that way.
Yeah, and I say, and it's been funny too. Nick Saban's been very, very in a good mood, it seems like, in his pressers. Which I don't know, Bill, could that be a dangerous sign?
Yeah, he's loose, and that's one of the things where. You never know. I mean, there's been so much focus on the quarterback that I've reminded people that they've won national titles with A.J. McCarron and Greg McElroy and Jake Coker. They won 4 national titles with those guys, none of which really stuck as an NFL starter. So in some ways, having all that young talent, they have some guys on that defense. I mean, it's easy to forget that they have Dallas Turner, Kool-Aid McKinstry. Those are all-American, first-round NFL caliber type players. So they've got plenty of talent on that roster.
So, and you mentioned Texas A&M earlier, and I had planned on bringing this up to you, and just it's a quick question, but you mentioned new offense coordinator Bobby Petrino along with Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo Fisher not calling the plays. Just how do you see that arrangement working out between those two?
Oh, we don't know. Nobody knows. I mean, we'll find out when it happens. I mean, I could speculate it on it all you want, but it really, nobody knows until that first third down. And, Jimbo was evasive about it at SEC Media Days. He was, when he could have just said, I'm going to call the plays to start and Bobby will collaborate, or Bobby's going to call the plays and I'll weigh in. It's so much easier just to be direct when answering questions like that.
Yeah, it's. I guess everybody's just looking for that first blow up over there on the sideline when something doesn't go right between those two. Real quickly, because I'm down here in Dothan, I'm probably about an hour and a half away from Tallahassee, so a lot of excitement about Florida State coming off their 10-win season last year. When you look at them in the ACC, do you see the ACC as a 2-team conference, or is it another team like Notre Dame? Not Notre Dame. North Carolina could jump up and probably be one of those contenders there too as well.
Florida State, there's a lot of hype around them. They're going to be good. They're going to be really good, but they also have it really tough in the first month. They play LSU right off the go. They play Clemson. Jordan Travis is second in the Heisman odds right now. They have Johnny Wilson. That Keon Coleman gives them another good receiver. I think the way they closed last year, they could score 40 points a game. But, again, it's so tough early in the season. They play two very good teams, and they could be 10-2 at the end of the year and kind of kicking themselves because of what happens in September. So Mike Norvell's going to have them going right out the go.
Just looking at the way you see it, that LSU Florida State game, we always look at these big open season matches. So which team needs it more? Which one will it hurt more if they lose? Where are you at on that with those two?
For who? Alabama or LSU?
No, for Florida State and LSU, like that game. Like who does it matter more to?
Florida State and LSU. I thought you said Alabama.
I may have.
Yeah, both. It's huge because the loser. There's going to be a lot of pressure on them. I think they're almost even teams in terms of program trajectory. In terms of, well, we mentioned all the reasons I love Florida State. I could repeat the same things about LSU. Jaden Daniels, Heisman contender. Their defense has got some guys. Mason Smith and Harold Perkins, and they brought in Omar Spates from Oregon State, a linebacker. They're going to have a really good front seven, and I think that's going to be the difference in that Florida State game.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. That's going to be fun, but that's week one. We get through week 0 this upcoming Saturday. And Bill, it's been fun having you on here. Always, all the great college football knowledge you bring. Whatever you do, writing, podcast, radio, you just one of the best out there. And if the listeners and viewers want to catch you online, where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm at Bill Bender 92 on Twitter. I'm at sportingnews.com. We'll have all that. We got all kinds of prediction content out there right now, and we're really just trying to do a good job heading into the season. So it's here, as you said, and we'll have to catch up here during the regular season.
Absolutely, Bill. Always a great time having you on this show, and I look forward to talking to you again sometime down the road.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me on. Take care.